Today at Mackey Tech, we're going through a mix of tech gadgets. Some you'll recognize, some you've maybe never heard of, and a few you might not be using to their full potential. I happen to use all of these in my workflow, and I bought each of them with my own money, so nobody is sponsoring this video. These are just practical tools I would always recommend to anybody. So let's jump in. So number one is one of the more underrated pieces of tech in my entire setup. It's a UPS or uninterruptible power supply, which basically means it has a built-in battery. And it's doing two things at once here. First, it's protecting gear from power spikes 24/7. And second, if the power happens to go out, it instantly switches to battery mode so important devices that are connected don't just shut off, which can actually cause damage. Instead, I get a warning beep and a few minutes to shut everything down safely. And if you're running anything like a home lab or working from home, that alone can save you from corrupted data, unsaved data, or unexpected downtime. Now, normally when I'm working on a review or another home lab project, I've got like 3 random screwdrivers lying around, so I didn't think I needed something like this until I started seeing it pop up in a few videos. And whether you're working on, random PCs or just tech around the house, this Fanttik kit is actually super handy and saves you a ton of time hunting for the right screwdriver head. It comes with all the common bits like those star-shaped Torx screws, which are actually much less likely to strip compared to the standard Phillips screwdrivers we're always fighting with. It's precise, has a built-in light, everything is magnetized, it's USB rechargeable, and it makes working on tech a lot faster and much less frustrating. Speaking of working faster, this is an NVMe drive, something that you would find in newer computers these days and most Macs, and this little enclosure turns it into an external drive in just minutes. I use this all the time for file transfers, backups, even editing, and because it's NVMe, it's way faster than traditional external hard drives. Granted, it is a little bit more expensive, but if you need raw speed, it's absolutely worth it. I did a full video breaking down how NVMe's work. I'll link in the video description if you want to learn more. Now, if you're guilty of writing passwords on sticky notes or using the same password for every account, you might as well leave your front door unlocked. And trust me, I've been there. That's actually why I started using a password manager like Bitwarden, because it generates strong, unique passwords and remembers them for me. You can also secure things like Wi-Fi passwords or important account details all in one place. Now, granted, password managers aren't the sexiest gadgets, but I'll take a reliable solution to secure my passwords over a fancy keyboards with lights in it any day of the week. And the point here isn't to use Bitwarden specifically, but to use, some sort of password manager, whether it's Bitwarden, OnePass, LastPass. Just choose something that works for you. Now, this next device is a game changer for anyone working from home, or maybe if you often juggle a laptop and a desktop. It's a keyboard, video, and mouse switch, or KVM switch, which allows 2 computers to share one keyboard, one mouse, and one video or monitor display by plugging them into the ports, and then you switch between the computers instantly by clicking a button. It's sort of like changing the input selector on your TV so you can watch cable TV or use a game console. There's no unplugging cables or needing multiple keyboards or mice. Just press a button and you'll be using the other machine with the keyboard, mouse, and monitor. Now, if you're using something like a MacBook Pro or pretty much any modern laptop, you'll probably notice that ports are pretty limited. And, as much as I like Apple, they're rather stingy with respect to how many USB ports they're giving you. And that brings me to this handy little USB hub, which gives you tons of ports, like an HDMI for an external display, several USB inputs for accessories, an SD card reader, even an Ethernet port if you wanted to have a more stable network connection. So instead of juggling a bunch of separate adapters, everything is built into one device. Mine is a 9-in-1 from Selore, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's usually around $25 on Amazon, but there are a ton of these out there from different vendors, all with different port counts. It just depends on what you need. Now, I know there are a lot of label makers out there that are supposed to be portable, but this little NIIBOT printer takes portability to the next level. It's about the size of a mouse and controlled entirely through Bluetooth on your phone using an app. So whether you're labeling computer cables or maybe drawers or bins, it's super convenient. It's also completely wireless with a rechargeable battery. It comes in multiple colors and supports a variety of label types depending on what you're organizing. It's one of those, small things that makes a big difference. Everything is easier to manage, easier to troubleshoot, and it just keeps your setup looking very clean. Now, this next one isn't so much a gadget as it is a quality of life upgrade. And yeah, everybody knows Google, but a lot of people don't realize you actually get 15 gigabytes of free cloud storage with any Google account. So you can store things like important documents, photos, family videos, even stuff like insurance or tax records, and access it from your phone or any computer. It also includes free apps for editing documents, spreadsheets, and presentations similar to Microsoft Office, but there's nothing to install. And sharing is incredibly easy. For example, my wife and I use a Google Sheet for her salon business, and we can easily share it with our accountant without texting or emailing anything, so it's super secure. And even better, there are mobile apps for all of it, so everything stays in sync no matter what device you're using. Now, I'm sure most people know this is a smart plug, but I think most people don't actually use them to their full potential. I have a bunch of these that I use, but this one is a Kasa smart one. You plug it in, connect it to Wi-Fi, and now you can control things like lamps or fans right from its phone app. But the real value is in creating schedules, such as your lights or devices turning on or off based on things like when you get home or maybe when you go to bed, and you can tie it into what's called scenes with your other smart devices, so one click of a button or one action can control multiple things at the same time. So they're all talking and they all work together. Another quality of life upgrade is this desk power station, and if you hate cables as much as most people, it'll really clean up your setup. It clamps right to the edge of your desk, so instead of cables hanging everywhere, everything stays up and out of the way. This one from CCEI has 12 outlets plus 4 USB-A and 4 USB-C, so I can easily charge my phone, my Mac, and power pretty much anything without needing a bunch of other adapters or crawling under my desk, and it's one of those small upgrades that makes a big difference once you start using it. So like I mentioned in the beginning, I seem to be one of those odd tech channels that actually uses everything I recommend, and so I wanted to give you a balanced mix of tools that aren't too niche or out in the weeds, just practical stuff that almost everyone can benefit from in one way or another, regardless of their tech experience. And honestly, that's always been the goal here, making technology more accessible. Anyway, that's going to wrap up my 10 recommendations. Let me know in the comments which tech gadgets you prefer for your setup, or if there is anything from my list you would change. And if you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and drop me your feedback. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to Mackey Tech if you enjoy real world tech like this. A special shout out to all of my wonderful Patreon supporters. You know exactly who you are. And thank you all for watching. We'll be talking to you again very soon.